How deadly was a fight between pikemen? Truth is, we don't know, and I don't think we ever will. But we can try making an educated guess. Hello everyone, it's Oskar at the Virtual Vechtschule here, and in this video I'd like to show off some of the sparring with pikes that we have been doing recently. Now if you're just here for that, feel free to skip ahead. But otherwise, here is some context for the central question of this video. How deadly do fights between pikemen actually get? The first thing that comes to my mind is this illustration by Hans Holbein, showing Schlechten Krieg, or bad war. This is often associated with battles where Landsknechte fought Swiss Reisläufer, but it happens pretty much in any other situation where pike block faces pike block, such as when two formations of Landsknechte fought at the Battle of Pavia in 1525. I've tried masked pike sparring bouts in the past, with the rule being that any hit will knock you out of that game. But that basically means that as soon as the two pike blocks clashed, absolute carnage ensued. This may at first glance not be so far off from this famous illustration by Holbein, but when looking closer we see that the guys in the front ranks have survived long enough to draw sidearms, which seems to be causing way more casualties at that point of the battle. I think we need to go back to the drawing board with a couple of 1 versus 1 bouts and see what we missed. Since I got my hands on a couple of good pikes last year, it has very quickly become my favourite polearm to play with. First off, the scale is just absolutely insane. The pikes are 4 meters long, meaning that the action takes place at a distance that's completely different from what I'm used to. Secondly, these weapons take a surprising combination of strength and finesse to wield properly. Without the former, you'll just not be able to control your pike, and without the latter, you'll be opening yourself up to being attacked constantly. This is something I really enjoy about this weapon, that's why I really like exploring it further. And finally, of course, it's just really cool to be working with the weapon that was central to military thinking between 1477 and roughly 1650, hence the armour that I'm wearing during training. Of course, I'm specifically interested in the early period of pike and shot warfare, around 1500, when the Landsknechte had only recently started emulating the Swiss way of war. During this period, the personal skill of the combatant seems to have been a little bit more important than formalized drill, especially since most engagements weren't actually pitched field battles, but rather smaller engagements such as skirmishes. I think we have the beginnings of a very good system of fencing with the pike based on sources from that time, and the sparring you're about to see is, I think, a very good showcase of where we're at currently. The pikes we use are ditch hook shafts, 4 meters of tapered ash with pike connectors from Jester of Blades for easy transport on a bicycle, and tips by Arkham for safe flex in the thrust. As for the sparring itself, we generally try to start out of range and close the distance, and we assumed that there was at least some freedom to move back and forth. As I'm wearing armour, we restricted the valid targets for both fencers to anything not covered by plates, meaning the face, the insides of the arm and the armpit, the groin, and anything beneath the tassets. We found 2 things that we can definitely take with us if we want to start scaling up the engagements again. 1, and this one should not be a surprise. Infantry armour makes you more survivable, as long as the armour holds up of course, and especially so against long thrusting polearms. This means that casualties among an armoured front rank may not have been as bad as during our unarmoured past experiments. And secondly, trying to control the centre line even with just one opponent is actually pretty hard. Just a slight bit of commitment too much means that your pike goes wildly off the mark. When one pike person does that, the other gets an opening to exploit. But when both do it, it gets messy really quickly. When we then scale up the engagement, this will probably be amplified to the point that at some point in the fight the pikes get tangled and fighting with them becomes pretty much undoable. We still need to pressure test that idea in sparring a bit more, so that's something for a later video. For now, we're just having a blast doing 1 versus 1 with pikes, and I hope you'll enjoy watching it too. Since you've come this far in the video, you must have enjoyed it at least a little bit. So let me know what you think in the comments, and you might even want to check out Patreon to see what I'm currently working on as well. You'll also get access to instructional videos for Messer, and you'll be able to support me in trying to make quality videos on historical fencing, like these amazing people are already doing. So go check it out, and I'll see you all for the next video. Okay, doei!